Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Video Game Hunting here on Player One. Wait, you know, I haven't been having any luck at these stores lately. Let's go ahead and back up and try something more promising. This is yet another sign how nature is healing. I am at my first video game convention in over a year and a half. And just diving right into it, I am seeing several titles I never see anymore in the open, wild environment, and that is first starting with the complete in-box Sega Saturn titles here. I am always on the lookout for these titles, especially complete in-box, because I know eventually I will have to cover the Sega Saturn in great detail on this channel. And there are several great titles in this case to choose from Bomberman, Nights into Dreams, Clockwork Knight, Sonic 3D Blast. I mean, I just don't see any of these titles anymore at all. Right next to that I see some completed box Sega CD titles up there, most of which I already have, but I don't have that Cotton into Dreams game up there. I have been increasing my Sega Dreamcast collection lately. The games I'm looking for now are just the ones that everybody wants, so that when the value starts shooting up even more than it already has with this system, I don't have to spend a lot for the titles that I really want to review on there. Mainly, I've been limiting my collecting to games that support the VGA box, since I found one of those in the wild, and I am now playing games on an old VGA monitor with the Dreamcast, and they look pretty awesome. Games like Jet Grind Radio here and Skies of Arcadia look awesome with the VGA box, and if I didn't already have them, I would be picking them up here. Strangely, I found that the PlayStation 1 market hasn't really escalated in value as quickly as others. I think this is probably going to be like the Sega Genesis of its day, because the Sega Genesis still has a lot of titles, but they are still cheap enough to where the casual game collector can collect some quality titles without breaking the bank. But that's at the time of this review. I'm sure that'll change in the near future. There are some nice GameCube titles in here as well. I already have Wario World and Mario Party 7, but I do not have 6. Sadly, the price was too high for me to collect it here, but it is something I'm still looking for in my collection eventually. Now, here we have a lot of GameCube and PS1 titles that I guess aren't valuable enough to be secured in the glass cases, but still some quality titles here. Bomberman for PS1 is not something I've seen in a while. I may want to pick that up. Now, normally, if I saw this quantity of GameCube titles that were of a low price, I would be snatching these left and right. My problem with the video game convention is that everything has to be dealt with in cash, and I didn't bring a lot with me. So even though a lot of these are titles that I would normally collect, I'm actually trying to find things that are more rare, or at least things that I can't find in a physical store very often. So even though some of these titles may be worth a pickup, I am going to have to pace myself throughout this whole trip and see what I can grab. And just a note about my opinion of the GameCube collecting market, it has gotten way overinflated in the past year and a half. I don't know what has caused the resurgence of GameCube popularity, but in my opinion, some of these games have just inflated to an astronomical value, and they need to come back down to reality before I can collect them. For example, taking a look at Super Mario Sunshine here. Only a few months ago, I saw this going for about $120. Thankfully, it looks like this seller has reduced the price to around $60, but even still, that's a bit too high for a game that sold very well on the GameCube. Next to that is Animal Crossing, and it just happened to be a strange coincidence where I just found that game about a week prior to this convention. I am only a recent adopter of this series, first playing it on the Switch like most people, so I'm very curious what I missed out on the GameCube. But backing away from disc-based media for just a moment, it seems like these things are going in age, so N64 being most recent, then onto the N64, and then back to Dreamcast titles down there. I did scan through these titles, but didn't really see anything that I was looking for personally, but you may see some items of note. I did find some items that I wanted to purchase here, but this seller had a strict policy of please don't touch the merchandise unless you're going to purchase it, and that's probably a combination of security and pandemic protocols, so I decided to respect that. I will show you at the end of the video what I ended up getting from this seller, but for now, let's go ahead and move on. At the next vendor, in a bin under the table, I was intrigued by this complete in-box N64 Game Shark. I didn't have the code book for it, so I decided not to get it, and I was also intrigued by this Game Genie for the Game Gear. I think this is the first time I've seen one of those. When I first saw this though, I thought it was for the Sega Genesis, so I passed on it on that. May have picked it up if I had actually read further and saw the Game Gear on there. Here's something that's a bit more to my liking that I don't usually see out in the wild, are these complete in-box Nintendo Entertainment System games. I think it's kind of ingenious they decided to keep these in Ziploc bags. It would help protect against more shelf wear, but it doesn't really protect them if they get smashed, so I don't usually collect complete in-box titles because I'm looking for a more functional collection, trying to play as many games as I can. It has to be something that's really special to me to actually get the box with it. Looking underneath there, I did debate on getting this Prince of Persia game. I do have that for a variety of platforms though, so I decided against it. And yes, I was hoping to find some Wii U games here. I only have one that I am missing from my collection, and to tell you the truth, I actually have some in this box that are rare to run across. However, I already have them, and the only one I am missing is not in this tub. The 2 copies of Wii Sports Resort did not go unnoticed. I usually try to pick a couple of those up as spares, as when I restore Wii's, I usually like to have a Wii Sports game to go along with it. But for being packed in with most, if not all, Wii systems, all the Wii Sports titles have shot way up in value. Anyway, moving on. It is rare when I come across complete in-box Game Boy Color titles, and Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening DX was an excellent find. However, I already own that loose, and I'm not willing to pay the extra $70 to get the box. Though from what I can see this selling for online, that actually wasn't a bad price for it. Ah yes, remembering the good old days when you had to buy a cleaning kit for your console? I never had one for the Game Boy, but this looks kinda neat. Wow, I don't think I've ever seen a complete in-box Donkey Kong 3 before for the NES. The price is about right, but again, I already have this loose, and I have to spend my resources wisely. This copy of Computer War, based on the movie War Games, was intriguing to me for the Atari 400, 800, and 1200 computer line. One day I'll collect one of those, but for now I will move on. Oh, there's some more unremarkable Wii U titles down there mixed in with some Xbox and PlayStation stuff. Wow, that actually looks kinda cool. A box of zappers. So, in the last year and a half, you've probably seen me post a lot of videos of me collecting a lot of these titles for like the Xbox 360, PS3, PS2, and all that stuff, because they were being clearanced out of rental stores in my area, and I was mainly collecting those because they were arbitrarily either $1 or a little bit less a piece. I haven't really done a lot of serious collecting for these consoles, as I usually like doing cartridge-based systems better. Oh, and speaking of that, here is Plants vs. Zombies for the Nintendo DS. This is actually one of my favorite games that I've played on the iPad a lot, and I was looking for this for the DS for a long time. I actually bought this from my niece and nephew back in the day, and that's how they played it. But I will definitely pick this up on the DS. And yeah, there are a ton of PlayStation 1 games here. Again, I don't see a lot of people collecting these, and the retro game stores in my area barely have any stock of these, while outside of having a bajillion throwaway sports titles. Again, if this is my only selection of games, I would be tempted to look through these and actually pick a few of them up, but games like Play with Teletubbies, Animaniacs 10-Pin Alley, and even this Game Shark Lite for the PS1, which I already have, aren't really worth a pickup to me because I have higher priorities of things that I want to get from here. But if I don't find anything else, maybe I'll come back to this table. So here is a table that has some more interesting stuff to look at for a video game convention style video. First off, there is this Super Nintendo in the box with the power supply. It is the SNES 2, which is something I don't see too often. He was trying to sell it complete with the games, so I didn't really go for it this time, but also take a look at the Sega Saturn back here. This is only the second time I've seen the Sega Saturn 3D pad in person, much less bundled with a Sega Saturn with the memory expansion on top. Here's a Panasonic 3DO FZ10. This is the top loader model that was released later on. I've actually seen these a few times, but not too often. Going past the complete in-box Nintendo Power Pad, there is Street Fighter Alpha Warrior's Dreams for the Sega Saturn complete in-box. I considered getting this due to the low price. I did take some time to look through these bins, but then I found something I have never seen in person. Here it is, an NEC Turbo Duo console complete in the box. It's pretty rare to see the console just by itself, but I never thought I would ever see the box with the system. It does look like a dog chewed on the corner a little bit, which is to be expected. This console is approaching 30 years old. But this is almost something I would expect to see in a museum, not just sitting on the edge of a table in a video game convention that anyone can just pick up, manhandle, and take a look at. The seller at the table was pretty cool and let me take a look at the console. I assume he thought that I was going to purchase it, but I let him know after he told me the price of $1,100 that I was definitely not going to be able to afford this. Moving past that, I see a complete inbox Intellivision, a complete inbox ColecoVision, and another FZ10 Panasonic 3DO. I went from not seeing any of those for months on end to seeing two of those in the same day. Behind it is only the second or third Sega Master System I have seen, but across the table, behind this SNES 2 and the N64, there is an original Panasonic 3DO. If I didn't already have the FZ10 model, this is the one I would have picked up. This is the model of the 3DO that my brother used to have over at his first house, and I used to play this thing religiously. Believe it or not, the game I played on this the most was Gex. Sadly, for the price they were asking for it, it just wasn't worth the nostalgia trip. Also another rare sighting is the Mario Kart bonus disc. I'm not quite sure what the purpose of having this is, unless you were going for a complete GameCube collection. I did have the vendor pull out his copy of Mega Man X2 for the Super Nintendo.
How much is your Mega Man X2 there? I'm asking $150.
And next to that, he had Mega Man 5 for the regular Nintendo. And that is the only one I am missing out of the Mega Mans on the NES. But as most of these vendors had prices negotiable, we couldn't really come to terms on a price. I should note I didn't feel the prices were necessarily unfair, they just were more than I could afford.
So either way, I'll have to run a grab cash, so I may be back for this. It's good. Appreciate it. Yeah.
And although I wasn't able to buy anything from this vendor, at least this time, it was nice to get to know one of these vendors that does this for a living.
So do you own a store somewhere, or is this...
I do not. It's all out of the house. It's a hobby.
You live in the area, or...?
Yeah, I live at the other end of town.
Do you do stuff online then, or...?
Not anymore.
Oh.
I was selling some online, but I'll just do shows now.
Gotcha. So you just do conventions like this, or you just have like...
I do conventions like this. This is the fourth year I've sold at all four of these. I'll sell at the one in Chicago. If Rockford ever has theirs again, I'll sell at theirs. I did their first year.
Okay. So you collect as well, or you just sell?
I do collect. Oh yeah.
What are you primary collecting for?
I love RPGs and Zeldas. Yeah, that'd be what I mostly go for.
Yeah. Lately I've been on either the running guns or the shmups. So.
Yeah. Been popular the last couple of years. I just never really got into them. Other than R-Type. I played R-Type. So.
I like them because they're quick for just to get into it and see how far you can get.
Yeah.
An RPG requires a lot more time commitment than I have. Skies of Arcadia, I started playing that.
Okay. That's what I haven't played yet. It's on my backlog.
Yeah.
So my backlog is a mile long.
Maybe that's something all the video game collectors can release is that backlog.
Yeah.
When people ask me when I'm going to get a PS5, I'm like, I don't think I need one at the moment. I've got way too much retro stuff to play. When the PS5 becomes retro, I'll start collecting to it.
Yeah.
Anywho, I decided to calm my despair that a PS5 still eludes me by going through PS1 titles. And here's something I don't actually have in my collection. This is the hologram cover art version of Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped. I think this looks really cool, but again, I did pass on it as I already do have the game. I have the greatest hits version anyway, and I'm not looking to recollect games to get a complete PS1 collection. Same thing with Crash Bandicoot 2. Again, this looked really cool and would have sold me on the game as a kid, but I'll stick with the version from my childhood, thank you. Look at all these quote-unquote collectibles. I had never seen the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles WWE crossover things. Those look kinda neat. And look, it's every controller you could possibly ever want. But in all seriousness, every single time I'm looking for a controller, I can never find one. And of course I'm going to see one here that I need right now, but I can't go back here and grab it because this convention's over. Just wish I had access to these all the time so I can just buy them when I need them. And I like how the only feature they advertise on the CD player is that it plays back MP3s. Ah, the 2000s. Now this table was actually way more exciting than I thought. First, we're starting off with the CDI, which I'm still looking for as mine is currently not working and I haven't been able to get it fixed yet. But actually, this is a vendor that has a store I've been to before.
That actually in there?
Yep. So I will say the controller is not the same one that's on the box. It's got the standard, more normal controller. So yeah,
that time clock battery issue?
When we fired it up, it had no issues.
How much is it?
It is
$5.99.
Yep, okay. It's 600. And then we do have games for it floating around.
Yeah, there's some right in front of it.
There's
the ones everybody wants for it.
Yeah.
Nice. Did you guys used to be in Champaign?
We're still in Champaign.
Still in Champaign.
Still rocking Champaign.
Awesome.
That place is like a purgatory. You just can't escape it, so we're just going to embrace being in Champaign.
I think I bought my Sega Nomad off of you guys a while back. A few years ago, yeah.
Yep, this guy runs a store named Live Action Games in Champaign, Illinois. This is where I bought my Sega Nomad and my TurboGrafx 16. I thought they had closed down, but instead they actually moved, so they weren't actually in the same location as they were in this video.
Because I recognized you for a second, I'm like, wait a minute, where do I recognize you from?
It's the accent. I can change almost anything but the accent,
Yeah.
This watered down accent I have.
Yeah. Glad you guys are still in business. I know a lot of places that are shutting down.
We moved. So from where you probably brought the Nomad to where we are, we moved like across the street.
Oh,
and
okay.
That solidified us not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Did you buy the modified one or the factory one?
It was factory. Okay. Now, I do know the sound has some issues on it, but it isn't anything too big for me. I'm hardly hearing.
Capacitors, that's why I asked if it was a stock or a modified one,
Yeah.
In my retro game hunting series that I've done on my channel, which also evolved into my video game hunting series, I used to do trips around the state of Illinois, looking for things that I can't find in my area because I like finding them in person as the pricing is usually better than online. The sad thing is, many of the stores I've visited since I've done those videos have actually shut down. A lot of them are still open, but it's about half the number of stores than it used to be. So I'm actually glad this store is still open because their selection usually trumps some of the other ones in the area. And the guy that runs this store is usually pretty good on his pricing, doesn't usually go for massive eBay, pay me top dollar pricing, and the selection is very good. I don't ever see complete inbox sealed PlayStation Vita games, ever, and this guy has one with a PlayStation TV. I did pick up a couple of smaller items here, and I was not able to get that CDI with the Legend of Zelda, Hotel Mario, and all the other stuff that he had there, mainly because I don't carry that kind of cash on me. But next time I'm in that area, I will definitely have to stop by and check out this selection. Now here's a system I just recently started collecting for, and that is the Super Famicom. There are some exclusive games for that system that I'm looking forward to getting, but I can't get games like Mother 2 here because I need them to be translated in order for me to actually be able to play them. Here's some more complete inbox goodness next to the NES and NES 2, on top of this looks like Nintendo storage device. And the Virtual Boy has been making some splashes lately. And they did have a selection of games. I already have a Virtual Boy, so I didn't need the actual console itself. I'm not usually a fan of collecting these Retron consoles because I already have the original hardware and I don't necessarily need these consoles. Here's a good selection of Sega CD next to some Sega Saturn titles. A complete inbox Sega Sports Black Dreamcast. Interestingly, it was situated next to the Sega Master System cartridges, its first and its last system in the US. And here we have a complete inbox Sega Mark III, which was the Master System in Japan, next to a complete inbox Genesis and Master System. I did look through some of these games that I was missing. I don't have a complete inbox copy of R-Type. Fantasy Zone The Maze also intrigued me, along with Fantasy Zone 2. There's also Strider for the Master System, which I already have for the Genesis. I just found it strange that I found both versions right next to each other. Here is Alex Kidd in Miracle World, which I believe was just redone. I do have this built into my Master System too, but not complete in the box separately. And here's Alex Kidd in the Enchanted Castle, which I had never seen for the Genesis before. One thing that I like to do as a strategy for buying games is I usually like to pick up a bunch of games and then offer them a price on the lot. However, this seller was not interested in negotiating at all, so unfortunately I had to pass on all of these titles. Don't ever feel bad having to walk away from games if the pricing is not right. Now here's a table that I would only see at a video game convention. This is a whole bunch of import games. And depending on the system and how many games were released for it in each region, collecting imported games could possibly save you a lot more money than trying to collect them in your native region. For example, I do a lot of collecting for the Sega Saturn through imports because they're a lot cheaper than the North American counterparts. You just have to make sure your system is capable of reading the media, which the Saturn can do with minimal modifications. But again, as I recently got a Super Famicom, I decided to start looking at some of the titles here. I am mainly looking for exclusive titles, but it actually wouldn't be too bad to get some of the Japanese versions of games I already played. I have the feeling most of these are going to play the same, but I'm kind of curious to see if there were any minor differences. But while looking through those titles, something else caught my eye.
Holy crap, is that a PC Engine?
Yep, PC Engine GT. Everything works perfectly on there. There's a brand new LED screen, the sound works, it's been recapped. It's all complete manuals in there and everything. Beautiful decision, or beautiful condition, it's 1,000.
What's the pricing on that thing?
1,000.
Yeah. Is that what I'll go for a pretty penny?
Styrofoam and everything is good to go.
Yeah.
We just fixed the screen last night because it detached, so now it's put it back on there. I have pictures of it, or I could take it out for it if you want. The dude who we sent it to recap it and like replace the screen, covered it in super glue and the screen detached.
Oh.
So we fixed that problem last night. Play sidearms now. I'm feeling sidearms. So everything works, the sound's working. Oh yeah. Yeah, this stuff's like, I know the GT's really like rough to find, so. I mean, I have an online store. We try to do conventions for the most part because I think online sucks. It's a lot better just selling to people. But we're called Retro Velocity. We don't have cards or any like protectors yet to like price stuff on, so. We just kind of like split from our other people, so we're working on. We're more towards DeKalb area in Illinois.
Have you guys done more events around the area?
I mean, we've been doing this since it started, this one. Really nothing else. It's just more Chicagoland or Wisconsin or...
Yeah, they're probably your bigger markets. Although, there's a lot of people here. A lot more than there was the last time I went to this one.
Well, yeah, I mean, people have been locked up for a long time. They want games. I don't blame them.
How much is Mega Man X2?
I think it's at 20. I think we have it at 20. Very last page. This is so annoying to deal with. I want those cases in now. Very last page.
I'm just glad you guys stuff with students.
I know.
Spend so much time with them.
That's what our old guy did. I spent most of my time like getting the stickers off the expensive games. It sucked. 20.
20 bucks? I'll take it.
Rock me on it.
Keep looking too. What about Super Mario USA?
25. I could do 40 for both.
Make that happen.
USA as well.
How much for? I'm assuming this is
Super Genjin 2?
Yep.
I have that for 25. We could do it for 20. Have 60 total.
This went on for a little while longer, but I ended up getting a few more Super Famicom titles as well as another PC Engine game in here. But after spending all that, I thought it would be time for a game break. All along the outer walls of this convention hall, there were game stations set up for people to just walk up and play. To me, I'm kind of in awe of all of the setup it would have taken to set all of this up just for one day of a convention. They had retro games, arcade machines, even a VR setup in here, which I did go through and play a lot of stuff. But then it was back to the game hunt. Here's another copy of Wii Sports Resort, which I feel was overpriced. Although I came across a cardboard sleeve version I didn't know existed until I found it here. Must have been another pack-in. Here's Super Mario All-Stars, missing its collector's case. Mario Kart Wii has actually had a huge resurgence thanks to the number of people who are keeping that alive with homebrew and online, which I believe is one of the reasons why this game has kind of held on to its value. Here's a whole bunch of NES titles that I went through, as well as a bunch of manuals, which I don't usually collect, but it was kind of neat to see in here. Now, you may think this is insane for a Game Genie for an NES, but this one actually has the adapter that is needed to have it fit into the NES 2, or the 101 top-loader model. Yes, these things are incredibly rare, and that's why it has such a high price. Here's a loose copy of Mega Man X3 for $300. Hopefully it's much cheaper on the Super Famicom, like Mega Man X2 was. Here's Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which strangely I just had gotten off of eBay for $80 complete in box. Don't know why this one was $240. Down here next to Grand Theft Auto 5, notice it says it's coming to the Xbox One and PC, and PlayStation 4. I find that promotional box a little funny because it is now coming to the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, and probably PC again, why not, for a whole new generation. But beside that, I see a complete in-box in television for $80, along with some unremarkable NES titles, and hey, a power pad. On top of the table, they had a few things that were worthy of note, such as the Sonic CD, Dragon's Lair for Sega CD, Dracula, some manuals, a whole bunch of other stuff up here. What stuck out to me for this table is just how random all the titles seem to be, so I was kind of curious if this was a collector that was just dumping all the extra titles they have in order to collect more stuff, and it turns out I was right.
Do you guys have a store somewhere, or you just collecting?
No, dude, I'm a giant collector, and it's all my extra crap. I live in Chicago, and this guy is my friend, and we always are picking up random lots and offer up, and Craigslist and stuff like that.
Spoiled up there.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure the selection's a lot better than down here.
Yeah, dude, we're very, very spoiled.
Yep.
So,
Takes a lot of hunting.
It does, but I mean, like the garage sale scene there is crazy.
Oh yeah.
Very plentiful. I can go out like every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and there's like at least 20 I can hit every time.
Wow.
And I get exhausted with it.
Yeah.
But that's only in the summer, obviously. But
Yeah. I think now people are just happy to get out of the house, so they're gonna do whatever.
pretty
they want.
much. Do you even have like a disc replay or anything like that around
Yeah,
here?
they got.
Yeah,
over
we got
there
one.
on, Veterans Drive, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we got a few places like that out there too, so they're always getting stuff.
Yep.
You know, I'll just try to dump them like shovelware and then buy something good with it.
Yeah, when you live in the middle of nowhere, you don't find as many things as you do in the big cities. But anyway, before moving on, I did notice the CTR portable pinball machine, which I thought was kind of neat. This was a little nostalgic to me, having a CD wallet to hold all of your games in. I didn't have one of these back in the day because, well, my collection just wasn't big enough to justify having a whole wallet for them. But I did have a bunch of burned audio CDs back in the day that I kept in one of these. I did like seeing some of the PlayStation 1 demo discs, but then something happened to me that I was not expecting.
I think I followed you on Instagram. Oh, really? Player one? Yeah, there. Yep, that's me. Awesome. Okay. So I collect all the old stuff. Yeah. Hence my bag full of old stuff. I don't go for any of the disc games kind of things. All the old stuff. So. Yeah, I like cartridge games better, but they're few and far between stuff for here. I know. There are a lot here. So. Yeah. Well, nice to meet you. Yeah, it's cool in India. Yeah. Are you from the area? Or? Yeah, I'm up in the Quad Cities, so I'm up just north of Davenport. Oh, okay. I've been over there a couple times. Yep. So, it's nice to see all the Midwest collectors and that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's good. Hopefully you get to like the Midwest Gaming Classic up in Milwaukee at all too. Or? I was going to last year and then they shut it down because of everything going on. So I was there for my first time going. Yeah. My daughter and I went for the first time in 2019. Yeah. It was a blast. Yeah. I'm hoping to go again next year. Well, nice to meet you. Yeah, it's good meeting you too.
So yeah, I thought that was kind of neat. I usually don't run into anyone who knows me at these conventions, and sure enough, I ran into someone who in this case followed me on Instagram and on YouTube, so apparently there is somebody watching out there. But yeah, if you guys see me out at a convention or a show, feel free to say hello. Back to the game hunt though, this copy of Bucky O'Hare definitely caught my attention, but again, I don't know, I don't think I'll ever be able to afford half of these games. I can't justify spending $500 for a game when I could get a PS5 for that. Well, eventually we'll be able to get a PS5 for about that price. Moving on, I did find myself going through a lot of these bargain bins for like Super Nintendo game cartridges and the like. Next to those were some loose systems, such as the Sony PlayStation 1, the Sega Saturn, PS2 here. The Sega Saturn Stunner, complete in box, was tempting, and it was neat to see the PS1 with a screen attached to it sitting right next to it. Underneath all that, I did go through the NES titles here, next to another collector that was collecting for the GameCube and other disc systems. By this point it was getting pretty crowded. It was getting later in the day, and there were a lot of families there just playing games together. Kids playing games that their parents played when they were kids, and parents playing the games that the kids like now today. I just think it's great that these video game conventions can bring the community together into one place. At another table, browsing past some PlayStation 2 and TurboGrafx games, I found another FZ10 3DO. This video will make them feel like they're a lot more common than they actually are. I think they're just common because these are things that a lot of collectors are going after. In an earlier video, I collected that Persona game for PSP for a lot less than $200. It's amazing how much that shot up in value. Behind that was a Commodore VIC-20 complete in the box, which I already have, and sadly the only thing I could find from a Commodore 64 were the manuals on this table. Didn't find any of those systems at this convention, even though I have been looking for a Commodore 64, at least one that works, for a long time. Metal Slug Anthology for the PSP would have been a good pickup, although I just got this for PlayStation 2 not that long ago, and I'm not really feeling the need to play it on my PSP since I have a Neo Geo. Mario Golf for the Virtual Boy seemed intriguing, so I decided to go ahead and pick this one up. They also had a whole bunch of Atari Lynx games here. Sadly, I already have all of the ones they have here, otherwise I would have picked a few of these up. But before I left this vendor, I did also pick up Touch My Katamari for the PlayStation Vita. Just within the last couple of years, these titles have been disappearing out of retro game stores and thrift stores alike. So I've been trying to pick these up when I can because eventually the pricing on this I believe is going to skyrocket. Another portable title that caught my eye was Conker's Pocket Tales, and I was able to work out a bundled deal on these, so I did end up picking up these titles. I found this kind of funny that I found Ys 3 complete in box for the Genesis for $150, when I think I only paid $40 for that for the TurboGrafx CD. Yep, in this age, one of the hottest accessories for the GameCube is the Game Boy Player. This one for $230 is actually priced about what I see it online, and it does include the startup disc. Thankfully I got mine years ago before the prices started skyrocketing on it. This vendor had a lot of high-priced items here, and they're not high-priced because of necessarily just rarity, but they are good quality titles. The sad thing is, these are the kind of things that I will never be able to afford. It's about the limit that most of us will get to when we are game collecting. I was about to move on when in the back of the case I spotted some Super CD-ROM TurboGrafx games. I've been looking for these for quite a while, and I have been unsuccessful at collecting these for a cheap price. And although some of these are on the borderline of what I actually can afford to collect, I decided to give these a harder look. And it's a good thing too, because behind one of these games was the game Lords of Thunder. I actually had this game loose for the PC Engine CD-ROM. I got it at a garage sale years ago. I actually didn't know it was a game for a game console as opposed to PC, but unfortunately it stopped working as it is just way too far damaged, and resurfacing did not fix it. This is a good game, and I really am a big fan of it. So after taking it out of the box and seeing the condition that it was in, I decided to go ahead and make an offer on some of these games. I'll show you at the end of the video what I ended up getting from this vendor.
Probably about 3 times bigger than that.
Okay.
But it's a really good show.
Good.
Yeah. You'll find some really high-end stuff there if you're looking for some TurboGrafx stuff.
Yeah, TurboGrafx, Super CD-ROM stuff. Yeah, I've seen it all.
I bought a Bonk 3 from there last year at TurboGrafx.
Yeah. You bought a what?
Bonk 3.
Oh, really? Wow.
That was one of the ones I was missing for my set.
Yeah, so that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I see your Jaguar stuff in.
Oh yeah, I got a bunch. Someone just bought half of them, but I got this half.
Oh, that's crazy.
I had almost an entire set here, except for missing a couple pieces.
Right.
Some of them are sealed, some of them are.
Yeah, I prefer not sealed. I'll open them.
Yeah, actually with Jaguar, the difference between sealed and not sealed was only like $5 or $10, so
yeah.
It's not a big deal, not a big difference.
And the interview got cut short because obviously one of the big reasons why the vendors are here is actually to sell games, and we got cut off by another customer, but it was kind of neat to see all of this stuff here, and if it wasn't all at once, if I could spread out when I find this stuff, I would be able to collect more of this stuff. I don't have a Jaguar CD, but I do have a regular Jaguar, and I wanted to get some of those games for it, but again, you can't get everything you always wanted. And here we have, I think, the epitome of valued collecting. Here are some graded complete in-box titles. Now, I don't collect graded titles or even complete in-box stuff that often because I want my collection to be a bit more functional. I'm not collecting these things as a display piece, I'm actually collecting these because I'm going to play most of these games that I get. And yes, I realize that sounds like a lot of other people out there collecting who have more games than they could possibly play in a lifetime, but I have been making my way through my collection, thanks in part to these ultimate reviews I've been doing for each console. Across from that booth, I did find something interesting.
How you doing, guys?
Hello. Tecmo Bowl fan?
Oh, love Tecmo Bowl.
Just the man we need to talk to. This year will be our 19th year of doing this tournament.
Oh, gotcha.
You get placed in a bracket based on skill level.
Oh, gosh. You know the last time I played Tecmo Bowl?
You know the last time we played? We set the tournament up every year. The only time we play is the night before the tournament after we get everything set up.
Gotcha.
So the tournament is just for fun.
Yeah.
Like I said, if you're a beginner, we put you in the bracket of other beginners.
Yeah.
It's a round-robin tournament. You have like 5 people in the bracket. Top 2 go to the winner's bracket.
Right.
Rest go to the loser's bracket. If you lose in the loser's bracket, you go to the Power Club bracket. So you're guaranteed to play at least 8 games.
Yeah.
At minimum. All right, well, let me give you your card. Just in case.
Sure. Appreciate that.
Contact information at the bottom. You're like, hey, there's a group in Bloomington that does a tournament every year, Super Techno Bowl. Really?
Yeah, no kidding.
And you got our information.
I do know some people who used to play it back in the day. I don't know if they signed up for it, but I'll definitely spread the word. Are you guys from this area?
Yes. 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 This is our 19th year. As you see, the longest running tournament.
Techno Super Bowl. So you guys play Tecmo Bowl or Tecmo Super Bowl?
Super Techno Bowl.
Oh,
Super
okay.
Techno Bowl.
I appreciate you having me through it.
No problem. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, it's getting close to lunchtime, and I'm finally getting to the back of this convention hall here. And I have noticed that the longer I've been here, the more people seem to be packing in, so there's been a consistent influx of people into this place ever since I got here when the convention opened. At this next vendor, it looked like this person may have worked at a video game shop such as GameStop, because they have all these promotional posters and other things scattered throughout. The first thing that intrigued me here was the Sega Master System control stick. Didn't feel like it was going to work, so I decided to pass on it because there was no way for me to test it. I also see the original Super Mario Bros. For the Famicom. Oh yeah, they have the joystick add-on for the 3DS that was only released in Japan. The last thing that kind of intrigued me on this table, next to the DJ Heroes, was this Coleco Telstar. I believe this is the Telstar Alpha, although the label is worn off on here. I had a debate on this for a while, but eventually I had to pass on it as it is not something I'm currently collecting. Eventually I'd like to get like an original Pong unit or an original Magnavox Odyssey. Next to that vendor, I found another one that seems to import almost exclusively Nintendo products from Japan. And yes, it took me quite a while to go through their Super Famicom offerings. This seller has a lot of complete in-box offerings, which I would like to collect if they're still cheap, and it appears that most of these are. Again, sadly, I'm going to stray away from some of these RPGs. Even though they get quite expensive on the Super Nintendo, I can't really play them if I don't know how to translate between Japanese to English. So, sadly, although these are a lot cheaper, I'm going to have to go for games like Donkey Kong Country, Street Fighter II, games that do not require me to know the translations in order how to play them. I did see that Donkey Kong Country is actually called Super Donkey Kong on the Super Nintendo. They had 3 and 1 in the box. I also noticed they had 2 back behind the shelf here. So these are ones that intrigue me, but I don't know which ones I'm going to pick up, as I don't really see anything that was exclusive that I want to pick up, like maybe that Super Back to the Future 2 game. Up on the top shelf, they do have the Super Famicom Jr., which is like the SNES 2. And next to that, they have the first Famicom disk system that I have ever seen, and it's complete in box. I would have definitely picked this up in a heartbeat if they had a Famicom that I can plug it into. Sadly, they did not, so I will have to keep searching. Well, it does look like they have some Sega Saturn titles back there. I did go through those, but didn't find anything I was looking for. Now, here's something a bit more my speed. Looking through some of the loose titles will offer me some functionality, while lowering the price a bit to where I can afford to collect a whole bunch of them. Looking through some of these Famicom titles, I am intrigued by that Final Fantasy 1 and 2 cartridge. Mainly because I like its style, and I like the artwork on the front. Maybe if I can get that for a lower price, I'll pick it up. Another title that intrigued me was Dragon Slayer 4. Unfortunately, again, the language barrier I think would be an issue with that game. Looking behind there, you can see some of the other titles they have, and oh look, that's Final Fantasy 3. Final Fantasy 3 was exclusive to Japan for many years, as this is not the same Final Fantasy 3 we got on the Super Nintendo. You know what, between that and Final Fantasy 1 and 2, I think I'm going to go ahead and pick these up, since they are pretty cheap. I also debated on getting the Super Game Boy for the Super Famicom, but I already have one of those for the Super Nintendo, so I don't really see any use for this, as I do believe it's region-free. And here's Super Donkey Kong 3 again, this time for $10, so I'm going to go ahead and grab that, much better than paying $30 for complete in box. There's Final Fantasy Mystic Quest next to, it looks like, Disney's Magical Quest 2, Mickey's Circus Chase. I'll take that, and there's Donkey Kong 2, I'll go ahead and grab that as well. I debated a lot on whether or not to get Final Fantasy V. Even though there would be a language barrier for it, I've actually played through this game before, and I really do enjoy it. If I did get this game, it would just be a display piece. I'll say maybe to that one. Alright, one last vendor to go, and this one starts off with some TurboGrafx 16 titles and some Neo Geo titles. Looking at some of the Sega CD titles they have, it makes me wonder where this convention was when I was reviewing that console. Next to that, there are some Neo Geo CD titles, but unfortunately, since I don't own that console, I'm not willing to collect those titles just yet. They definitely have the widest selection I've ever seen in person of Neo Geo CD titles, and I decided to go ahead and leave this in here as documentation of why I should buy things before I get the console, because I'm sure I'm never going to find these again when I actually need them. Here we have some more Neo Geo stuff, including an AES and MVS cartridges. More intriguing on this table are the VIC-20 cartridges and VIC-20 games on tape. This is the first time I've ever seen those in person. I was curious about this 161-on-1 multi-cart until I didn't read the front and saw that it's for the MVS, which is something I already have. I'm not sure if this would work any better than the one I've got, since I'm trying to convert it from MVS to the AES, so I'm going to go ahead and pass on that for now. Ah yes, I was wondering when I was going to start seeing some cosplay. I actually don't know what this character is from. If you have any idea, let me know down in the comments below. I must have had my head buried in all the vendor tables because this guy was getting dressed as I was on my way into the convention hall, but this is the first time I saw him walking around, and that was almost on my way out. Around the other side of this table, I did see some Sega Saturn games that caught my eye. The first one was Casper. Not sure if this would be a good title to pick up or not. I had never seen this Virtua Fighter Kids Edition. Kinda neat. And this is a title I own on the PlayStation 1, but don't own for the Sega Saturn. So I think I'm going to grab this title because it would make a good comparison between the two systems, comparing this game versus the one on the PS1, and it's a game I'm familiar with. I did do a bit more looking around at this table, but those were the only ones I saw on camera of note. And with that, I am almost out of time being here at this convention. I've spent just about 4.5 hours here so far. Given the choice, I would stay here all day, but sadly my wallet has taken too big of a hit and I have to go home and count up everything I got, so let's go ahead and take a look. Overall, not a bad haul indeed. I will note that there are some things I got that are missing out of this shop, but I couldn't fit everything in the same frame. Most of what is in this lot are things that I can't find anywhere else. Overall, I am very happy that I was able to make it to this convention, and I hope they do this again next year, or even sooner. It looks like the biggest find for a console that I had was the Super Famicom games. Whether they were loose or complete in the box, I found a lot of recognizable titles which I don't usually find in my area. And for multiple reasons, first and foremost being price, I did like collecting these titles in person. It's great to be able to talk to some of the people who sell at these conventions, and even other people who are collecting, because you get lots of tips and tricks, you get to share and swap stories, and you end up meeting people that share the same passion that you do, and I think that was a win in my book. I did mention that I'm not showing everything I found here, but most of what I could fit in this frame. There is one item I was not expecting to get out of this convention that I ended up getting, and that's going to be a topic of the next video I do on this channel. Because while I was at this convention, I bumped into another gaming enthusiast who had a lead on how I can get a console I have been looking for at least the last 6 months. But for now, as I wrap things up, I hope that you enjoyed looking at this extended look through a video game convention game hunting trip. For me, this was especially exhilarating because I was able to find a lot of titles when normally I'm used to finding mostly nothing. But for now, you guys know what to do. Leave a like if you liked this video, leave a comment below, let me know what you liked about this video, let me know if there was something you saw in this video I should have collected other than some of the stuff you see here. As always, I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. If you like this video and you'd like to help out with future projects on this channel, please consider supporting me on Patreon. Also, if you enjoy the content of this channel, please remember to click on this subscribe button. Again, I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.